The
Minor,
63rd Street, yeah.
And do announce that vice chair
Yeah,
and remote.
yes, ma'am. And the one.
Okay, Ms. Matias, we are live, we are streaming, and you may proceed with today's public review session.
Good morning. This is the review session for June 10th, 2025. Please note for the record that Commissioner Utley Brown is joining us remotely and Commissioner Shabeta is absent from the hearing. Okay, we will begin with the zoning calendar, continued hearing items. Item number 15, 2024-10BZ, 1679 63rd Street, Brooklyn.
This has been adjourned. This is the last adjournment that the board is going to grant. We should send us a dismissal warning letter to the applicant and to the property owner.
Okay, item number 16, 2024-45BZ, 295 Front Street, also known as 78 Hudson Avenue, Brooklyn.
Okay. So at the initial hearing, board had asked for some clarification in response to those comments that were raised. Applicant has provided its response and the site plan has been revised to include the proposed improvements and the operational plan. Regarding the two outdoor parking spaces, there was a lot of discussion that ensued. I think that was because DOT had some concern with that. It seems there is a new tenant who will be occupying that ground floor place and is proposing to enclose that outdoor parking area. I just wanted the applicant, and since the applicant did indicate that they do not have a final proposal or plan, all I wanted to get a clarification from the applicant is that if it is going to be continued to be used as a parking or a loading area, and what is the estimated timeline of when this change would happen, and in the absence of that, in the interim, or if should it not go through, what alternative measure the applicant is proposing to undertake for the interim. Per traffic memo, a driveway gate will be installed. That's what it says in the traffic memo, which was requested by DOT school, which seems to be different from what the cover letter says. So, and per plan, a driveway with a fence is proposed. So there's a little bit of a mismatch between all three documents. So I would like a little bit of clarity. Regarding finding A, the applicant did not revise it as directed. Applicant needs to eliminate sites that are in M district. For example, 31 Belvedere Street, 630 Flushing Avenue. Only sites where as of right use, the school use is permitted as of right should only be included. Applicant also did not correct the statement of facts regarding 275 Marcus Garvey and 1958 Fulton, though it was stated in the cover letter. So the applicant needs to revise it in the statement of facts. Regarding finding C, I was not able to locate the statement made in the cover letter regarding double pane windows being provided. Please direct me to the specific page of the statement of fact where that language is included. And I actually don't recall, I have to check the plan to see if that language is there in the plan also. Those are my comments. Ms. Benke, is there any update on the environmental review?
We still have the open DOT review that's not school safety, the seeker review. They had requested additional items at the end of May, which were provided by the applicant. So that's under review. And we still have, I believe we're waiting for a response to comments issued on air quality and noise.
This is response from the applicant? Response.
Yes, from the applicant.
Madam Chair, I apologize. Can you bring the mic closer to you? Sometimes when you turn, it breaks up.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry about that. Do I need to repeat anything?
I don't think so.
I heard, I was
Okay.
able to understand. Yeah.
Kind of information that DEP asked regarding air quality and noise. Are those more additional data or editorial or cleaning up the data?
I can look into that. There-
You can look into it.
Yeah, I'll get
and-
back to.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank Commissioner Otley Brown,
I have no additional questions.
thank you. Commissioner Sheta,
Thank you, Chair. I have nothing further to add.
thank you. Commissioner Yoon,
Thank you. You covered everything. Nothing further from me.
New cases, item number 17, 2025-05BZ, 2450 Eli Avenue, the Bronx.
we received proof of initial filing and hearing notice. We though have not received a community board vote. This is an application for a special permit pursuant to zoning resolution section 73-311 for an accessory drive-through in conjunction with a proposed as-of-right eating and drinking establishment to be located on the subject site. This site did actually has had a prior use. It was a prior like a diner, and but it has been vacant for a couple of years, and the proposal is to convert it into a two-use establishment, two retail uses, two use group 6 uses, one of which would be the as-of-right eating and drinking establishment, which will have the accessory drive-through, and the other one will be an as-of-right use group 6 use. So we're focusing on as the document says, Building A, which would consist of a Starbucks eating and drinking establishment. So I have a couple of, just before I get into the findings, a couple of housekeeping. Indicate the net, the zoning resolution section that is referred in the site plan BSA 001.00 for minimum parking stall is incorrect. It should be 36-21 and not 26-41. This is not a residential zoning district, so and the commercial use, then the commercial parking requirement is what is applicable. Site survey map shows second easement on a significant portion of the site, including the placement of the building. So I want the applicant to confirm if there is any conflict with the easement and the proposed action. Details on BSA 13 and 18 sheets are not legible. North arrow on the plan is incorrect. And the applicant needs to indicate the proposed width of the drive-through lane. So I was looking through the operational plan that's proposed and the traffic study. As part of the traffic study, the analysis assumed that all vehicles exiting from the New England Thruway and about 71 to 80% on weekends and 95% on Saturdays, vehicles traveling eastbound on East Gun Hill Road will enter the site. So it actually assumed a significant proportion of vehicles exiting from New England Thruway and Gun Hill Road going, I would say, eastbound would be accessing the site. Similarly, and this is, I think, as I was looking at it, to me, it looked like a pretty worst case scenario assumption that they took. Similarly, for entrance from Eli Avenue, the analysis assumed all vehicles traveling northbound on Eli Avenue from Waring will enter the site. And so, as I said, it's a pretty conservative assessment. And what I though would want the applicant to check is the cumulative volume count at the main entrance from East Gun Hill Road and Eli and Waring. It is not adding up. And also figure 3 numbers are not matching the table 8 for midday, PM, and Saturday. With regards to figure 3 on this traffic report, of the 3 entry points, East Gun Hill Road off of the New England Thruway exit will have most entry. Now, the total site-generated vehicles entering at East Gun Hill Road main entrance, I would call it. There are 2. I'm going to call the main one that is right off the New England Thruway. The northern entrance is projected to have 83 vehicles entering at AM, 45 at midday, and 45 at midday, and I think 36 in the PM, and yeah. I wrote these things beautifully with my mind, knowing what I was saying, but now it's not making sense to me. So I'm not going to say much other than what I would like to say is that when I was looking at these numbers, the total vehicles, site-generated vehicles that will be entering at East Gun Hill Road main entrance, I want the applicant to clarify the total of 108 vehicles, that is 83 coming from East Gun Hill Road and 25 from Eli during AM peak entering the site, what percentage of it will be using the drive-through? Now, according to table 7, it seems 62% of the total vehicles entering for Starbucks is for drive-through. So during AM peak, every 15 minutes, 20 vehicles will be entering the site from the East Gun Hill Road entrance, and a total of about 27 vehicles every 15 minutes from both Eli and Gun Hill Road for Starbucks. Now, if it is 62% of the drive-through per table 7 is applied, then of the 27 vehicles during AM peak every 15 minutes, it would be then 16 vehicles that will be using the drive-through every 15 minutes. So as part of finding, the reason I'm saying this is as part of finding B, the document, the narrative should clarify the operational process and identify the average order time, that is the turnover rate, and any line busting solution that is being proposed to move the projected peak volume of vehicles awaiting in the drive-through. So with that, I want to move on to the findings related to 73311. As part of finding A, the applicant is proposing 18 reservoir spaces when minimum 8 is required. Now, in addition to these 18 reservoir spaces, applicant is also providing the required number of parking spaces. 37 parking spaces on the zoning lot will be provided, of which 15 will be for the as of right eating and drinking establishment, which is the drive-through. And also, this site is a very large site, and it has 3 entry and exit points. And from looking at the site plan, it seems there is adequate holding area within the site for vehicles entering and exiting the Gun Hill Road. With regards to finding B, as I read out my comments earlier, that the applicant needs to identify the average order time to justify how the turnover at a 15-minute peak or even a 1-hour peak is going to be addressed. And I only looked at the morning peak because that has the most number of vehicles. While there is adequate holding area within the site for vehicles entering and exiting East Gun Hill Road, applicant in its narrative needs to clarify the operational process to process a drive-through, as I was mentioning earlier. Since the traffic flow around the subject site is atypical, the site plan needs to clearly present the surrounding traffic network flow, existing and proposed directional signs on the subject site. Also, the proposed plan is not matching the radius map. Given the adjacency of the site to the exit and the entry ramp of New England Thruway, applicant needs to clarify if the peak periods of the proposed operation of the site would be an interference with the traffic flow, especially on and off ramp to the thruway. Though the traffic study assumed that all vehicles exiting the New England Thruway will enter the site, and similarly, majority of eastbound vehicles will enter the site. I also have a question regarding the turning radius of the drive-through queue from Eli Avenue. Is it not too sharp of a turn? And will it cause traffic flow conflict within the site with a possible spillover onto Eli Avenue? So applicant needs to provide a maneuverability diagram and clarify how that will not be an issue. Also, what is the reason for providing an entrance from the southernmost curb cut along East Gun Hill Road when all southbound vehicles on East Gun Hill Road will first pass the entrance near New England Thruway exit ramp? Regarding the ped and vehicular separation and safety, applicant needs to provide a fence along Eli Avenue and along the rear lot line to prevent pedestrians attempting to pass through the drive-through to access the building or the other as of right use on the subject site. Clearly indicate the treatment of the space in front of the building entrance. Will it be landscaped or will it be a paved surface? Also provide a fence along the left curb of the drive-through and a drive-through lane abutting this front space for separation, for providing a separation between the pedestrian and the vehicular flow. Plans are not clear regarding the directional flow to and from the three curb cuts. With regards to finding C, the subject block and the immediate block consist of active commercial use, and the subject site is located at the fringe of a neighborhood away from residential use. East Gun Hill Road is an active commercial corridor and is a feeder road to New England Thruway southbound and Hutchinson River Parkway westbound. So the primary entrances and exits to the site is from East Gun Hill Road. So access from Eli is also fronting on a block front that is a commercial use. So it does meet finding C. With regards to finding D, the site abuts roadways and commercial use only. Air quality analysis, I don't believe in this case is required. The proposed orientation of the menu board is towards Eli Avenue, which abuts an active commercial use. The nearest sleeping accommodation is a hotel, and the nearest point of the hotel is located about 80 feet from the menu board. So regarding a lumen level, apart from the hotel, there is no residential use in the immediate block. A lumen analysis, I therefore don't believe is required. Though indicate on the plan the proposed location of the light poles and the proposed heights of the poles, and add a note that lumen spread shall be no more than 2-foot candle along the rear lot line. With regards to finding E, I want the applicant to provide more detail on the landscaping chart for the board to determine if the proposed landscaping would meet the finding, and also needs to provide more landscaping, preferably tall trees along the rear corner of Eli Avenue. We can provide a sample as to the nature of graphics and the detail that we require as part of landscaping. So sorry, that's my analysis. And going forward, I'll try to make similar kind of analysis and statement when I am reviewing finding B. So do please put in more information in your narrative and tie in the traffic data analysis and the queuing analysis to justify how the operational plan proposed will in no way affect the traffic flow or backup onto the abutting streets. Ms. Benke, do you have any update on the environmental status?
This is a type 2 application, so the prerequisite of LPC is closed. 'Cause there's no in-ground disturbance, and the the items have been sent to DOT for review, but we also have to see how the traffic consultant responds to your questions. So.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
So all in all, I think that this is actually a great place business-wise to put a Starbucks, because not only is it adjacent to the New England Thruway, if you look south along Gun Hill Road, it actually also is an entrance to a second highway, which is the Hutchinson River Parkway. So it's perfect for people who are on their way to work, trying to pick something up. But that being said, that's where I need a lot more information on the proposed operation of that center curb cut and how it lines up with the entrance and exit of the New England Thruway. So because we don't really have that information on the plan, all I could do is look at Google Street View and see where the original curb cut for that site is. And it looks as if it lines up exactly with the exit ramp on the northbound New England Thruway and the entrance ramp on the southbound New England Thruway. And I have to say that during busy periods, because this is the way I used to go to work when I lived in Co-op City, that is super crowded and cars are speeding down Gun Hill Road to get onto that highway. And I just think that there's a potential conflict here. Even though that central curb cut on East Gun Hill Road says you can only make a right turn out of the site, if it lines up with that entrance ramp to the New England Thruway, there's no way people are going to be paying attention to that. So people are going to just shoot out of that curb cut as soon as they can and hop onto that entrance ramp. And that's a potential problem there, because people really are going high speed here to try and get to work. So I would need a little more information on how they're going to control that curb cut to ensure that people just don't exit straight across and hop on the highway. I don't know if there's some kind of plastic dividers they could put up to ensure that you make a right turn out of that curb cut, which would then force people going on the New England Thruway to use the Eli Avenue exit, go to the stop sign, make a right, and then merge onto the New England Thruway in a slightly safer manner. So that's the potential problem that I see here that I would like explained before I could get totally behind it. But as for the isolation from residential, you couldn't pick a better place. I mean, you really don't have to worry about anything. And not only that, Eli Avenue is rarely used. So that's actually why I think this is actually the perfect place for a Starbucks, if they could just control that one issue. And then I have a housekeeping item. In their statement of facts and findings, when they talk about their trash collection operations, they just need to correct where the trash is being collected, because right now it says 3 times a week along Union Turnpike.
Union Turnpike.
Yeah, exactly.
Another borough.
A bad,
Mhm.
okay. I have a question. I was actually looking at the Google map to get a better read of the layout. The exit ramp from the New England Thruway,
Mhm.
that lines up, like you said, to the main entrance of the site,
Right.
which is what it is currently. So it's only an exit. There isn't any entrance from that. So in order for
There-
to onto New England Thruway, you have to go further away. It's almost much further south. The entryway to the Gun Hill, to the New England Thruway is much south, and you have to go under the bridge to
No,
go.
no, not there. That's the Hutch. That's the second highway. So if you look at Google Street View, and
That's
they
what I-
should have provided these pictures. If you look at Google Street View, the exit for the northbound splits in 2 in a fork. So one part just goes northbound along Gun Hill and picks up Gun Hill Road, but you could swing to your left and come out on the southbound Gun Hill Road. So
Yeah, I need to,
yeah, you
Because-
need to see it in person or see the large, I think Jella was sharing her screen.
Yeah, that
which would be helpful.
helpful.
Okay, so you see that
Right,
that's the northern exit, right? And you could either go where that silver car is and continue up northbound on Gun Hill, or you could make this little turn. This turn here and the stop sign, this lines up with where the curb cut used to be. I don't know if it's still going to be there. See?
that's what the
That's a
proposed,
perfect line. Now, if you're looking here, this is like southbound entry onto the New England Thruway is right after that, just past it on the left.
right,
There's that highway. Most people go on that highway in the morning
that's
because
right.
that highway takes you down to the Bruckner Expressway. Now, there is a second highway, the Hutchinson River Parkway. And that's if you keep going down Gun Hill in the right lane and swing around to the right past the motel, that's the secondary highway. And that's
Right.
the Hutchinson River Parkway. But that's a distance away, so I'm not as concerned about that. The concern is more the junction of the exit northbound, but also the entrance southbound and the curb cut to Starbucks. If it's in that place, because people are going to jump across two lanes and get onto the New England Thruway southbound if there's no stopping them. Even though the curb cut in the site plan says you're only going to be able to make a right turn, unless people are physically barred from making a right turn, people don't pay attention to stuff like that.
Yeah, and so that is one location where I was thinking about the same thing, is like, should we stop the right turn? And I think even if we stop it, it will get used that way. People will exit out to get onto that New England
Right,
through.
because ultimately it is a right turn, but it's going to be a very wide right turn that cuts across a couple of the East Gun Hill lanes while people are speeding to get onto the highway.
Right.
It's, if you live there, and I lived there for several years, you kind of, how this street goes. There's a stop sign. I mean, there's a street light maybe 200 yards further north from this. And as soon as people get past that street light, zoom, let's pick up speed and hop on that highway and get to work. And people start going like 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, hop on that entranceway. And because this little swing around isn't used on the northbound exit, it's not used that often, it isn't a problem. But with an attractive Starbucks there, it might attract people to go across those lanes and go into Starbucks where they had never thought about doing that before, because there really was nothing. There was a diner and it was kind of not a great diner as time went on and people did not go to it, which is why it went out of business.
And Council Vine was just saying that there is, in this diner, there is a signage that says make right turn only. But even if you make a right turn, the split happens so quickly,
Mhm.
At that location, so that becomes open to interpretation, exactly.
Exactly. That's a great view of it, because that shows you exactly how you would have to cut across the lanes of traffic to hop on that entrance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if anything, this should just be the all entry, no exit, and make Eli an exit point, and then you have to make that right to get on to the Gun Hill Road access to the, or if you want to Hutchinson, then you take the other exit on Gun Hill and then take that to go to Hutchinson.
Right.
And make this only entry. So this way and reduce the width of the curb cut, and that way you just have the vehicles entering the curb cut and no exit points.
That would be a good idea.
That may be a best operational outcome of this, and make the Eli Avenue curb cut bigger to allow for more vehicles to exit, and because there is also the other as of right use that will be located. So you have to allow
Right.
for that movement, and that may affect the way the drive-through lane is created, because that would be in the way of vehicles making that right turn off Eli to get on, to make a right turn onto Gun Hill.
Unless maybe you make that curb cut larger. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the curb cut will, but it is very close to the intersection of 50 feet. So if there isn't enough holding area on Eli for the vehicles, and most of the holding would have to be on the side, and that would conflict
Right.
with trying to enter to get onto the drive-through and vehicles trying to exit.
Mhm.
So the location of the drive, that exit has to, the drive-through has to then be changed.
I could see your point there. I'm just curious as to how they'll address this issue, because I think that's the biggest potential issue with
Yeah.
this site.
Okay, yeah, good call. I mean, I have only gone there on weekends and gone past it, so I don't see the weekday activity. So thank you for your input on that. And my old traffic days analysis came through today. My previous bosses will be happy. Okay, Commissioner Shetta.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with what's been said. And in addition to that, I see some details starting BSA 15 to BSA 18. Most of these details are illegible. And actually, I'm not sure if we need them even on BSA set to be submitted to us. We did review most of them are like structural details for how they're gonna fix the menu board, concrete details for the foundations. We don't review that. So if it's not needed, I believe they should take them off that set. And if they insist to keep him, I'm okay with that. But again, we didn't.
Actually, I agree with you. If it's not needed, why keep it? Because if there's any change in anything, there's no reason for us to weigh in on
That's
this. This is not part of
that's-
our
yeah.
findings, so please eliminate it.
Yeah, take them off and they are legible either way. So I don't
Yeah.
think you don't want to repeat these drawings one more time. You do them one more time.
Yeah, and it is going to be confusing for the future board
Yes,
as to
and
why this was there in the plan set.
I just want to note, there was a plan set submitted on Friday, I think, or yesterday that had, so
oh, yesterday I
I
didn't
think
see
it's
it.
dated June
I didn't
6th,
see
I
it.
think.
Submitted yesterday.
Yeah,
Okay.
just wanted to note that it's in the
But-
file and the details are legible, but that's beside the
Okay,
point.
so thank you for notifying that. I will look at the revised documents. I did see a note that revised drawings were sent, but I didn't look through it in detail. However, I think anything related to structure, documents, those information should not be there. It should be just related to the drive-through and the various architectural and other means that are being used to make this operational work. So if there are bollards details or fencing details, trash enclosure details, those are landscaping, how that is, curb details, those are the kind of information that should be included. Anything else, any other structure related should be removed from the plan.
The submission that came yesterday, actually, it came at 4:49.
Okay.
And the email from Submit includes the submission notice, cover letter, statement of facts, and proof of service. That's what I saw in the email, but I didn't see a set of plans.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't included in the email. I don't know. But anyway, again, long story short, the details are not needed. We don't review them, take them off. It's better for us and for the applicant as well. The second thing, yes, I agree that luminous spread is not needed. And I do agree also that sound analysis is not needed. I saw sound analysis, which is for me, which was like surprising. Sometimes we need sound analysis and we can see it in the submission. But in this case, it's there. I believe it's not needed. If you want to take them off again, do so. That's all what I have for this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Yoon?
Thank you. Let's see, what do I have to add? So the traffic memo states that detailed transportation analyses will take place at 4 study locations indicating the intersection of East Gun Hill Road and the westerly site driveway, East Gun Hill Road and the easterly site driveway, Eli Avenue and the site driveway, and East Gun Hill Road and Waring Avenue. So, is there an update on that study? Or Tracy, do you know of any updates on where they are in the transportation study? That they mentioned?
I don't have an update. We had sent that memo to DOT for the review, but we hadn't gotten feedback yet. So I don't know if they went forward with the study or not, or we're waiting. So that's a good
Alright.
question. Thanks.
All right, thank you. So it seems like those key intersections also need further analysis. It's unclear whether that's happened yet. Also, the site has a number of violations that were brought up, and I'm gonna just pull up the biz. Because some of them are immediate emergency violations, and I didn't see any description of how those were gonna be resolved. I understand that the existing building hasn't been demolished yet, but we have some, let's see, default dismissed. COB. Am I looking at the wrong bin? Sorry, guys, 1 second. Yeah. There's some immediate emergency violations that have been issued at this address last year and then earlier this year. And so if you could address these and let us know how those are going to be resolved. And I think that's all I had in addition to what's been said.
Thank you.
Okay, no more questions?
No more questions.
This concludes the review session for June 10th, 2025. We'll resume at,
We're at 10:40, so give it a 10-minute break.
so we'll resume at 10:50 for the public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Mic's off.
Good morning, everyone.
Mike's on.
Commissioners, microphones on, please. All right, Ms. Matias, we are live and streaming. You may proceed with today's public hearing.
Good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals public hearing for June 10th, 2025. Please note for the record that Commissioner Otley Brown is joining us remotely and Commissioner Shabeta is absent for this hearing. First item is item number 6. Do you want me to call the first one? No, right? Because he's not going to
No.
come. Okay. Item number 16, 2024 45 BZ 295 Front Street, Brooklyn.
I've let Mr. Becker in.
Anyone with you, Mr. Becker?
Amber Kartalian should be coming in, and possibly Rafiq Kalim Aldin, who is the headmaster,
See,
head of school.
we have Lucas.
don't see anybody.
Zaret,
don't
Joseph
have any
D'Amato, which I think
participants.
would be for the next case. And Elise, who is also for the next case. I do not see the other name.
Well, if Amber said she's coming on, but in the interim, I can start. She may appear.
Wait,
Brilliant.
Amber.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can swear them in. It's weird. Why is my screen like that?
Yeah, I see Amber.
I can't see my, isn't that weird?
Miss,
It's,
yeah, there she is.
no, I'm saying I can't see my participants. My screen is, yeah, my maximize screen. I gotta reduce it. There it is. Okay, good. Thanks. That's too late. Okay, raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Good morning, Frederick A. Becker. I listened to the review session, and with regard to the parking plan, Madam Chair, I'm informed that the new owner operator, the tenant for the ground floor, will be a doggy daycare spa, because dogs are people too, I'm told. And they intend to enclose it, the area that is the parking area. It will not be used for loading or unloading, and we are still awaiting plans. And we should have them hopefully within the next week.
Okay.
All right. With regard to finding A, my apologies, I will eliminate 31 Belvedere and 630 Flushing. With regard to 275 Marcus Garvey and 1958 Fulton, item D in the statement of facts on page 9 refers to the fact that the costs of rental and renovation exceeded the budget. So I think that answered the chair's question, if I'm not mistaken, but I can please clarify.
Yes, I do remember seeing that.
Okay,
Um,
so
But,
that,
hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. Just give me a second. I just want to
Sure.
pull it up.
Mhm.
Page 9, you said, right?
Yeah,
correct.
I can share it.
Yeah. Did not meet the rental rate requirement with renovation cost requirement plus rentals valuation of $30 per feet. And did not meet the. Okay.
Weird. Something else is weird. It's never there before.
But I think, as I mentioned, that, right. Okay. Okay.
Is that fine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and with regard to the double paned windows, the top of page 11, it's easy to miss. The first line of the statement of facts.
Do you know if these are being changed from what's already there, or the windows? I assume the windows that are there are probably, well, anyway, can you answer if that's an existing reference or if that's going to be a change when the school is constructed?
Amber might be able to respond to that. She may know better at this moment.
Not 100% sure, Fred, whether they need to be replaced. I can pull up the EAS and see what was required. But I'm not sure about the existing windows and whether or not those are being replaced.
We can get an answer for you, Madam Commissioner, if for
Yeah.
that, and to find out whether, and I'll respond to that.
Thank you.
I'll-
Statement say that you're gonna use double band window. It just says the specifics of the windows will be determined by the New York City Noise Code guidelines. That's what it says.
It says that the school will have double pane sound attenuated windows in accordance with the building code requirements.
Oh, I see that.
It's
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
very
at the very
top.
top.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sentence
yeah,
breaks.
yeah.
As I say, we can find out from the architect whether the windows are there or will be replaced. But in either event, there will be double pane windows when the school operates. Yes.
I can check in on this, but my recollection is based on the noise study, we didn't require any additional window wall attenuation. I'll confirm that.
Okay.
Okay, I don't believe there are any further questions on my end, Chair.
Can you please, if you're gonna submit again, can you please, when you submit like a PDF to us, make it searchable? In other words, like, make the PDF not as a picture, as the case in this submission, but make it searchable PDF. So when we open it, we
Make it
can.
what?
Searchable.
Searchable,
Okay.
yes.
I think,
Commissioner Shutter, are you referring to the environmental assessment or are you referring to another document?
I'm referring to any document that's submitted to us. It's much easier to get it searchable
Hmm.
than to convert this statement of facts. I just did it like during the review session. It took the computer like 5 minutes to do it.
it may have been, Commissioner, that because of the size of the submission, we had to do something larger. My assistant did it. And that's why it may be more difficult, but if I am replacing the statement, it will be a very small submission. So it'll be in PDF form that'll be searchable for you, I believe. I'll confirm that.
In the drawing sheet, can you just add a note that double pane window per the same statement that's written in the statement of fact, double pane sound attenuation window in according to building code requirement will be provided?
A double pane sound attenuation window in accordance with building code. Yes, to add that to the first page. Yes. Yes.
You can also like point to one of the windows and describe it as what you just described and say typical. So like we understand that like all these like windows are typically double paned.
Very good. We'll probably do that then on an elevation.
Yeah,
Thank
Very
you.
You're welcome.
thank you.
I think the next, anything further from me, Madam Chair?
Not from me. Any questions or comments for the team? All right, let's go to the public then.
I think there was the issue of environmental, whether we're done and.
Right.
Oh, right.
I forgot to state my name for the record, sorry. Amber Cartalian, GZA, Geoenvironmental. So in our last submission that we made, we submitted the detailed level of service analysis for traffic along with the warrant study to evaluate the feasibility of, I believe it was a stop control at Hudson at Front and Gold Street. The outstanding items that have not yet been submitted are details regarding specifications for the curb cut fence, which it's my understanding that we will be providing those and we have clarity on that now, as well as the detailed HDDV mobile source air quality analysis associated with project generated traffic. That will be submitted today. The one outstanding matter that is kind of unclear to me in terms of the timeline and the path to approval here is that DOT School Safety had requested an evaluation of a one-way conversion of Hudson Avenue. That is a study that they would be undertaking on their own. But the implications of timeline here and whether or not DOT would be willing to do a post-approval commitment where we would continue coordinating with them on the feasibility of that was a question that I had in our last submission in the DOT response to comments memo. So that's, in terms of traffic, that's the one outstanding.
So DOT is considering converting Hudson traffic to one-way. Is that what I understand?
Correct. They requested that we provide the data, but they would be undertaking the study, was our understanding.
And the data has been provided.
Correct.
And so your question is, do you have to wait for them to complete the study for them to sign off, or can they sign off? Okay.
Right. Because we would be willing to continue coordinating with DOT on this, post-approval if they were willing to, just to truncate the timeline here, because as part of that, we would need to present it to community board, and, there's a path there that is uncertain in terms of how long DOT would take to complete.
Yes, would be DOT. I haven't talked to Ms. Benke on this one, but I'm wondering, will something like this be possible where, let's say, DOT puts a conditional approval, but based on the study of making Hudson Street one way, if it requires any further modification to the school, some of the conditions, would school be amenable to work with DOT in making those revisions?
And the answer to that, Madam Chair, would be absolutely. Again, we are concerned. DOT, we don't know what their timeline is. We don't know what DOT's timeline is. They have to go back to the community board, which will not meet in July and August. Then even if they're done by July or August, and who knows, so it could be another 6 months or more before we even get a decision. And I would say this is comparable to anything we do environmentally, whereby, like remediation or something along those lines, where we coordinate with the Office of Environmental Affairs or whomever after the fact and continue to work. So yes, we would certainly take that as a post-approval condition, reopen if need be, and do whatever had to be done. Yes, please.
This has gone to the community board, right?
Long
And
time ago, they almost
They
unanimous approval.
Approved it, yes.
Yeah.
Community board.
Yes.
Okay. And with regards to the air quality, you will be providing the data today. What about the noise? There's nothing, your study shows nothing. And has DEP weighed in on that?
Yeah, so the DEP provided a comment letter that is part of this response with the detailed, and there was no comments related to noise. They were air quality related.
Oh, sorry, very minor, like editorial comments, I believe.
Okay. When does the school need to start? I mean, you're already there existing, and I'm assuming you're planning to add the other floor. When does that need to, school year wise, this year, or is it for next year?
No, this year, Madam Chair.
It's basically fall 2025. Okay. Any other questions? In that case, let's go to the public.
The case that we're currently discussing is 2024-45BZ 295 Front Street, Brooklyn. Should you wish to comment in this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the Weber ID number 161-126-9395 and press the pound sign. At the prompt after that, you will press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand in the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to discuss.
Mr. Becker, can you tell me if you need to start by fall 2025, by when do you need this approval?
The sooner the better is the best I can say. As early as if the board is going to issue one, as early as the board's calendar and staff permits.
Well, it definitely cannot be today or next week, because we do,
Right,
we DOT closure on it. And we will do our best to kind of get the message to them to help facilitate that. And same thing with air quality, hopefully that data.
Oosh, sorry.
a July hearing, a July decision, if the board is willing to close the case today, would be much appreciated.
Okay.
See anybody?
So the problem is one of the findings is related to school and DOT review is required. And
Is that the traffic reversal, the lane reversal issue?
we don't have any, we have not received anything from DOT that says that they're good to go on this, have we?
No.
No.
So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the record open. I'm not going to close this. We do have 2 hearings in July. So what we can do is schedule this for July, continued hearing. And by that time, within a month, we should have pretty much feedback and response from all the agencies. And we will, if the changes are not that significant and your team can act on it very quickly, we can schedule it for the latter July vote. So this way, by end of July, you should have, we will aim to work towards getting a decision by end of July. How about that?
That's appreciated. So you're saying basically we'll have the continued hearing will be the first July hearing. If all goes well, you'll close the case, and then the second July hearing would be the decision.
That is
Okay,
what we can achieve.
okay, what are the dates, please, and the submission dates?
Hearing is July 14th, 15th.
Submission day for July 14th or 15th is June 26th. And for the 28th, 29th would be July 8th.
But we can be a little bit flexible on that because we want to make sure all the documents and everything is complete. If any addition that we get from agency, but by giving us this 1.5 month for all the agencies, we hope we can get all the sign-offs and corrections and revisions that can be made to the plan for the July also.
Understood and appreciated. Okay.
Thank you. And Tracy, if DOT is open to it and they want to have a call, prior just to discuss the outstanding items in the lane reverser, we're happy to coordinate that with you as well.
Thank you. We'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you. See you in July.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, new cases, item number 17, 2025-05BZ, 2450 Eli Avenue, the Bronx. This is Elise, and who else has she got with her? I don't see my screen.
I think it would be Elise and Josh Herman. I'm assuming Mr. D'Amato is also part of this. Is Mr. D'Amato also part of this? Please raise your hand.
Yeah, he is.
I thought so.
Mr. D'Amato should be the architect and Josh is, Mr. Herman should be the traffic engine.
And what about Lucas Zaret? Is that person your part of your team?
No.
Joseph D'Amato. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone raise their hands, right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
I do.
Please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session. Ms. Fullader, you'll have the lead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Elise Fullader from Eric Palatnik PC. I'm here today with Mr. Herman from Stonefield Engineering. He's our traffic engineer, and Mr. D'Amato, he's our architect. I'm going to first take care of the questions that don't have to do with traffic maneuverability and plans, and then I'm going to share the plans and we can all talk them through together because I think there's a lot of little things here. So first is you asked about the violations. There is constant dumping on this site, but the owner says he goes there every day and cleans it up, and these violations have been taken care of, but no one has corrected them at DOB. So very happy to send down an expediter or something to correct the violations. But he says there's like he's constantly on it, and it's a problem site, and everybody wants to see this cleaned up. But hopefully, once something goes in there, that is obviously what will happen. I hope that answers that question. So we will get those corrected.
So you're planning to get an expediter to resolve the violations?
They've been taken care of, but no one has, we didn't do a correction, a certification of correction. The site is constantly cleaned up, but we need to obviously do a filing to prove that it's done. So we can take care of that.
Okay, because there's also construction violation. Okay, certificate of correction with the Department of file.
And then the next step here would be to demolish the site and build new. So,
and that's how you would be able to achieve closure on these violations?
I mean, yeah, we'd have to clean up the site. It would be vacant. We could show that obviously none of that's there anymore. It's all cleaned up, and then build new.
Okay, in the interim, because the two emergency ones on DOB are to seal all accessible openings, to secure all fences, and to prevent access.
He's assured me that he's done it, but nobody has filed for the correction.
That's the problem. Is there a reason why not? I'm just not understanding why we're not getting to the next step.
I guess I don't know how to answer that. He can file for the correction to prove that those things have been done.
Right, so why hasn't that happened?
He's fixed the violations, but he hasn't sent anyone to show pictures and everything to prove. It happens a lot. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, but I would suggest, Ms. Fullader,
Yeah,
get a note from the property owner
yeah,
in terms of the actions and the measures he has been taking to address the violations.
mhm,
And just to let him know that he does have to resolve those and find out from him what are the next steps he's going to undertake
okay,
to
fair enough.
violations, and you can submit that. And
Okay.
it can be an affidavit.
Okay, sounds good. The next was about any conflict with the easement. I think we have to get back to in writing. There shouldn't be any conflict with the easement. It's something we've been working through, but I think it requires a written submission to explain all of that. So we will get back to you on that.
Provide a written submission. So we just don't want this to backfire. We need to
I
fully.
totally understand.
Okay.
Now I think just going through the other, making sure, okay. I think that the next set of questions should all be shared. I'm gonna share the plans. Oh, the community board. We met with the community board in April. And they didn't have any significant comments, and then they met either April or May, and I called them up to ask about recommendation, and the district manager told me they chose not to vote on it. I'm not really sure why. I will call him again. He said he would ask them, and I did that yesterday or Friday, maybe Friday. I asked him to follow up with them.
Okay, yeah, if you can
So
provide.
we met with them in April, I guess I would just have to say, and they chose not to vote. So that's kind of.
Ms. Fullader, I'm sorry, this is Carlo. Can you just request from the district manager if they could provide the community board recommendation form with the waiving of their vote?
Yeah, I asked, where's the recommendation? He said they chose not to give one, so I will do that.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, here's the plans, share. Okay, everybody see the plans?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we did submit hopefully a darker set. I'm happy, Joseph can tell you, but he's happy to remove any excess notes and fix any sections that need to be fixed. But Josh, I guess, do you want to talk a little bit about, because there's such a big discussion about maneuverability and curb cuts, and I kind of just going to turn to you. And if you want me to share at any point, any specific screen or your memo, I'm happy to do that. Maybe this.
Can we just for simplicity, go to the radius map, because the radius map diagram of the roadway network of New England Thruway
Yeah.
is correct.
Okay.
So that needs to be corrected, and we need to see the roadway network of the New England Thruway coming out off and to, and that needs to be corrected. So that approach exit from New England Thruway ramp, it's not lining up with the site, as you can see from this. And if you, because right now the approach, it's showing an entry ramp to New England Thruway, but it's not showing the exit ramp. So the placements are incorrect. So please go through the aerial map and correct it, because we need to understand what the network of traffic network and directional flows are when we are analyzing this site.
Fair enough. Right. Joseph, that comment was mostly for you. You got it.
I think that was for Josh's, yeah.
Well, she's saying it on the plans.
Well, I don't know who does it,
I
but
think the plans actually show it. My site plan shows that exit and entrance.
Okay, 'cause Josh doesn't provide any plans. That's why I'm saying it's for you.
A diagram, the radius diagram, it was just up. I can address it either way.
Okay.
I think that's
yeah,
right.
please make them consistent and the
Well,
so
wait, sorry, then I'm a little confused. So are we saying that the radius is correct or not correct?
no, it's not
Not
correct.
Oh, the radius diagram is not correct. Okay, that is just provided by Urban Cartographics. So I will ask them to fix it.
Yeah, the radius diagram is not correct, and as I'm looking at the little site location map that has been provided,
This one? Yeah, okay, sorry, that was from Urban Cartographics. I'll ask them to correct that.
and the site location map from here, I definitely do not know if it is correct or not. I do see one ramp exiting out, but I did not.
If you zoom in, we have the arrows identifying that there's an exit there, and then the entrance is that one-way entrance, and then, yeah, I can make it darker on this plan, but I believe it's all on there.
It's this, correct?
That seems to be correct to me. It just needs to be darker.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay, so back to the curb cut conversation, I guess?
And is that site location, Ms. Otley Brown, sorry, Commissioner Otley Brown, can you also verify the site location map? If that exit ramp and on ramp to Thruway is correct, because to me, it doesn't seem to be.
No, it does. It actually looks like what you see if you look at the Google Street View. It looks like the exit comes off right where the curb cut is, and the entrance is just maybe 100 feet away to the right of the curb cut. So it looks like it more or less lines up.
I think, can you go to the previous page? And then zoom into the site location map on the left. I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Oh, you're talking about that?
Yeah, I'm looking at the site location because.
Yeah, you got to zoom in for that so I could see it
Oh,
better.
the site.
Or let me look at I can look at my own plans, which I had brought up.
Because I think it's the exit ramp from the New England Thruway and the on ramp to New England Thruway in the site. Not right. That's why I'm asking.
I'm gonna just look on my own plans right now because I can make them larger. Let's see.
Okay.
And I'm being fussy about it because this is a very unusual site. We don't, most of our sites tend to be part of the typical city street network, and this is right at the mouth of the major throughways. So we have to be very careful when we
It
are.
appears to be correct to me, looking at it, but because there are no dimensions and there's no curb cut shown on that little site location, it's hard to see whether or not it's lining up with the curb cut, but it is what you see there. There is that exit ramp that curves around, and then the entrance ramp is shortly after that.
Okay. Okay, so please make these graphics very clear so that it's absolutely clear to anyone who's reviewing it where the on and the off ramps and the approachways are. And
I think we're going to, as you suggested, do a maneuverability plan on its own page. So this way it's all dark, it's all clear, all the directional signs are there. So we'll add that plan.
you have to. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so back to our thoughts on the curb cut, right?
Yes. So we heard the the comments. Good morning, everyone. We heard everyone's comments on the curb cut, and understood the concerns about the traffic that would go pretty much straight through that median cut through. So, we were thinking, based on those comments, to shift the driveway further to the east to alleviate any concern about that, that people wouldn't be able to drive straight through. They would have to, turn out of the site to go either south on Gun Hill Road or towards the thruway. And then, in terms of ingress movement from the curb cut, people would have to turn through the median. They'd have to turn left onto Gun Hill Road and then turn into the site. So it basically alleviates any concern there about people shooting straight through the median and turning onto westbound Gun Hill Road.
So just so I understand what you're saying, so if I am coming off the New England Thruway exit, instead of coming straight into the site, the curb would be located a little further east of it?
Correct. So if you're coming off the New York State Thruway, they would turn left onto East Gun Hill Road, and then turn right into the site.
So there is a stop sign. That's the only thing that's preventing the New England Thruway vehicles from entering into the site. There isn't any traffic light at the intersection, at the location of where the New England Thruway is exiting and the Gun Hill Road vehicle traffic is moving towards New England Thruway and Hutchinson. So you have to show that that traffic flow can happen without it affecting the traffic that is going towards East Gun Hill Road. The traffic on East Gun Hill Road going towards Thruway and further to Hutchinson. There's a lot of maneuverability that is happening. Somebody's I'm going to make a left, cut through, and then going to make a right. And meanwhile, all these vehicles, as Commissioner Otley Brown pointed out, are rushing towards either Thruway or towards Hutchinson. So that's a lot of conflict that is being created.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we could, take a further look at. Currently as shown on the plans, we had shown it directly across from the median cut through, which is where that curb cut is pretty much today. And, that was where the access was provided to the existing commercial. But, we can look into that further after this hearing.
Yeah, you need to look at this very carefully and based on what is the peak vehicular flow on East Gun Hill Road, because I was just looking at your report and based on the report on East Gun Hill Road, pass-by vehicles during AM, it's 25, if I'm reading this correctly, 12 during midday, 10 p.m. and 14 Saturday. Is that?
So based on the report, we would have a total of 50 pass-by trips in the morning peak hour. So
50.
Yeah, so those are trips that are generated to the site based from existing traffic flows on Gun Hill Road.
So
But
you
it-
will have 58 total at that intersection of East Gun Hill Road and New England Thruway exit. You're
Correct. The 58 new trips that are generated by the site from all different directions. So that's coming from, coming from the thruway, but that's also coming from the west and traveling east on Gun Hill Road towards the thruway. So that's total coming to the site.
I'm a little confused with that statement. Coming to the site means they're entering the site, or they will be at that location of the site without having to commit to enter the site, committing to the site.
The 58 would be entering the site.
Okay, but what I want to know is how many will be on East Gun Hill Road
Mhm.
at that given time? Because I'm trying to understand what is the total volume of vehicles that is going through Gun Hill Road towards New England Thruway and further towards Hutchinson. What is the total number of vehicles that is exiting from New England Thruway? That is first thing. And then what is the total cumulative that is turning onto the site at the two curb cuts on Gun Hill Road?
Yeah, and that's information that we could, follow up with. I don't have that today, but that's information that we could follow up with.
So I have a question. I know you say you would consider moving the curb cut to the east. But to me, if you move the curb cut to the east to solve the problem of people coming off the northern exit ramp and shooting across all those lanes, you're going to have a similar problem with people exiting the site and shooting across the lanes to get onto the entrance ramp. So it's kind of like you're swapping one problem for another. What if you were to move the curb cut to the west along the site, which means that you kind of force the people to not use that northern exit to get onto the site? They would have to go onto Gun Hill Road and loop around somewhere to get onto the site. So you'd get rid of those people, and then you would give enough room for the exiters to merge their way onto the highway, give them a little more linear feet, which might make it safer.
Yeah, that's something we could definitely discuss with the client. I don't see an issue with that unless Elise or Joe, you do. But that's something that we can discuss with the applicant.
What? We're losing you.
Sorry, we can't hear you, Chair.
Yeah, I can't hear either.
Can you hear me now?
I can now.
Now, yes. Yes.
I literally have to hug the thing. I don't know why it's doing it. You right? Yes.
I agree with Commissioner Otley Brown that the moving it west, I think, would be best, honestly, just to give more time and prevent the people from actually just driving off the highway into the lot directly on that. Will prevent that cross confusion, and then shifting it left will give them plenty of time to get over to that left lane. So, Josh, I could sketch something out and we could review it offline after the call.
And
Yep,
hopefully
agreed.
then we can maintain, because there was a discussion about maintaining the 18 vehicles, which is way more than anyone would ever need in a drive-through queue. And so we wanted to give that because we do recognize it's a large site and we wanted there to be no concerns about overflow. So.
Right. And on that front, so we did drive through queuing analyses. So during the morning peak, which is the highest peak in the that a Starbucks would experience. So we have a total of 66 vehicles that would enter the drive-through. So, a little bit more than one per minute. And so based on the queuing analysis that we did using those volumes, the queues are, the maximum queue that we're seeing is less than 15 vehicles. So, we provided 18 vehicles as, a buffer to provide just some overflow just in case. But, based on the queuing analysis, we're seeing that we have, more than enough queuing space on the site. As Ms. Fullader mentioned, we're trying to maximize the amount of queuing space to avoid any potential queuing issues.
So then So the proposal that Commissioner Otley Brown is suggesting is having a right turn and entry from East Gun Hill Road closer to the intersection of Eli Avenue and Match Avenue, I guess. Is that? And then only an entry at that point, and there'll be only an exit at that location where New England Thruway is? Or it would be the end exit which is further east on East New England, on East Gun Hill Road.
So
Um,
that,
Oh, I was just gonna say, I didn't specify that it should be only an entrance, but just that if you move it west, you at least, even for exiters, give them more of an opportunity to merge in a safer manner onto the entrance ramp. That's all I was saying. You give them more linear feet.
right, they have more of an
Only
opportunity
because,
to diverge to the throughway or to continue on Gun Hill Road.
right,
east.
because, human nature, people will go, if you don't bar them physically, they're going to use whatever entrance or exit is convenient for them. So if there's no way to bar them physically from exiting and going to the right, then you may as well give them more space so they could merge on, maybe a little safer.
Yeah, I think that's a very good comment, and that's something that we can address on our end.
So
We can't hear
The
you.
audio is cutting out again.
So anybody trying to enter on East Gun Hill Road, that entrance would be moved further westward. So that will allow for entry and exit. So this way, whoever is exiting can continue on East Gun Hill Road and merge with New England Thruway or Hutchinson. But anybody's exiting from New England Thruway would have to go make a left and take the entrance that is further to the east to enter the site.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. That can work, and that can remain as an exit also. That's a secondary exit if someone wants to just go to Hutchinson and avoid the New England Thruway merging. Yeah, that may work.
Tracy's raising her hand.
Go ahead, Ms.
I just had a question for the existing site plan, or the one we reviewed. Did you have to go to DOT for any of those curb cut approvals, or would it just be if you moved that one to the west?
Does the architect or Josh want to answer that?
I believe that would be subject to DOT approval for a new curb cut.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are we done with the maneuverability? Should we go to a different topic? I don't know.
Yep.
Okay, so when we move that, we will make sure to do a maneuverability plan, make all these streets darker and update the radius diagram to match that. So just wanted to clarify all of that. I think that a big comment was about landscaping and where to put fencing. I guess I wanted to say, Joseph, did that all make sense to you? Do we want to go through where the fencing and landscaping would be? We can show you samples.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear. It's along
Okay.
Eli Ave. Prevent the pedestrians from crossing the site. It's understood. We will provide a fence at that property line. We showed a landscape plan with all the landscaping and the specific plant type on the site. I'm sure a little bit more legible on the new revised applications. So I think, Elise, if you can just scroll down into the landscape plan.
Yeah.
And also I wanted fencing between the building entrance and where the drive-through is. And what I mean by that, for example, where the vehicles number 14, 12, 13, 11, where there should be a fence like, or an raised curb
Okay.
around that area that will prevent pedestrians from crossing over and across through the driveway. And
Between the two buildings? I'm sorry. Between the two buildings?
yes, one is between A and B. So you have that A and B, you know, where you have the, I don't know if that's a curb cut or that's.
It is. Yeah, it's a pedestrian curb cut. So there's
Okay.
two, so you can go from one side of the parking lot to the
Okay.
next.
You need to have a stop bar there and a stop sign. You have a stop bar out beyond that. I see.
Yes.
So you need to mark that pedestrian crossing very clearly, so it's clear. But I also wanted another fence where vehicle number 11 is. This is to again prevent from pedestrians and vehicles conflicting. Nobody should be crossing there. And this is really, somebody's trying to quickly cut through the side and they kind of, even though you're putting the fence, somebody will walk along the landscaping area and cut through. So it's really to prevent somebody doing that.
Okay, we can do that.
So look at all of those possibilities to provide a separation between the pedestrian and the vehicular.
Understood.
So the fencing will add, but is this landscaping what you're looking for, or is it missing items?
I don't see anything on the landscaping for me to understand what's there and what's not there.
Oh,
So you
like a schedule.
detailing-
Oh,
you-
this is a plant list right here.
Yeah, but I don't know where those plant lists are going to be located.
Oh, because it shows you the type, the
Yeah,
detail. and
symbols, yeah.
Yeah, is this a recent submission? Because I don't remember seeing this.
I there was a bunch of questions that I got last week and we submitted them late on Thursday,
Yeah, this was in the original submission.
but it was in the original submission, he said, so.
Yeah. We just added some clarification and just made it more visible.
So maybe we'll resubmit this so you can, with fencing.
Okay. I'm surprised that I missed this. I was looking for this and I couldn't locate it. So my apologies.
Yeah, no problem. It's a large set. There's 18 pages.
Yeah, and we will remove the structural, the footing plans. As the commissioner had asked, we will, that's not a problem.
Okay. I also would, so I see the plants in the back, those are along the rear. Can that be extended to the corner?
So as you can see that the actual lane goes up against the lot line there.
Right.
So it's gonna be very tight. There's no plant area.
Right, I understand that, but what about that corner where you're planning to stripe it? Instead of striping it, can you put planting there?
I don't remember. Can I ask a question to my team? Did he want to do access or something? Cross access?
Yeah, I don't think he wants to. I mean, we could.
Yeah, but with the easement, isn't there like a cross access thing? I don't know.
I mean,
I don't remember.
shrubs.
I think the bottom right of the whole diagram, at the turn for the cars, there's a triangular portion in the corner that is striped. If you could zoom into that corner, down in the bottom right.
Yep, you had your cursor right there. You have to go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the,
Next to,
yep, where that arrow is, exactly, that area.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
That area we can, it just, you'll have, it'll stop at some point, but we can landscape that corner. We left it for, maneuverability, but it's fine. I mean, we can.
And will and I also, my other comment was the fence should wrap around to the rear lot line, and I'm assuming that is possible. This is again to prevent people crossing over. And
Understood.
so you need to secure this from that conflict.
Okay. We can add the fence. Any specific fence? Can that be a, down
Well,
continuation?
it should be fence that should be high enough that no one jumps over it.
Okay,
And of course, we would, I mean, doesn't need to be noise attenuated,
okay,
but you can have a nice PVC fence or a nice, what is it, those
chain
metal.
link fence?
Hmm?
A chain link fence?
I'm not a huge fan of chain link fence, so if you can avoid it and make something that is a little bit more interesting and yet not too much of a financial burden.
Okay. Yeah, the vinyl fence is costly and also, in my opinion, I think it's gonna, create a separation and lose that transparency of seeing the site from Eli Avenue. But, yeah, we could look into, some options. Those are called for options.
Yeah.
Okay. What other topics did I not touch? Short-term, volume count. We discussed too about potentially removing the volume because it's all commercial, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
So that I think makes sense.
Given the unique condition of this site, we don't need a lumen study. We do not need the ABC study on that. However, the note should be there about the 2-foot candle.
No problem. Makes sense.
Uh,
And then you said you want to just know where the lights are located and how high they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I don't mean to bring up back to another topic we already discussed, but just wanted to say that if there is anything you want from DOT, we've submitted and we're haven't heard back yet from DOT, if there is anything you want them to address.
Okay. I think this site, I kind of want to use this as a way for us to make the finding B. And I'm hoping I'm asking the right set of questions with regards to finding B, trying to identify what is the volume of traffic that will be going through and the volume of traffic that will be entering the site, and will that result in a conflict? And is there enough of a space within the site that will minimize that conflict?
And I think that, as you pointed out, we can get back to you, talk to Starbucks about how fast the cars move through and the operations, and really beef up that section with Josh and with Starbucks operations. And hopefully then that can answer that finding, because 18 cars is way more than even it would, that we would always have enough room in our queuing.
Right, it's more than we would anticipate, and yes, and especially with the shift of the driveway, to the west, we could provide that information, but it might change a few things. So we'll follow up with that information.
Okay, all right. Let's go to the public.
So the case that we're currently discussing is 2025-05BZ, 2450 Eli Avenue, the Bronx. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the Weber ID number 161-126-9395 and press the pound sign. At the prompt after that, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you press star 9 to raise your hand, star 6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if in the Zoom room already and wish to participate, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized, you will have 3 minutes in which to discuss.
How much time will you need to?
Tracy also has her
Chair.
hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So the TDF memo, had you proceeded with that analysis, or are you waiting for feedback from DOT and the board?
We've been waiting for feedback
Okay,
on
that
so
helps
we've not
us to
proceeded there.
understand the point you're at in the, okay. So based on the hearing, some changes might be made to the analysis. So we'll touch base and coordinate with that.
Okay.
Thanks.
I see Lucas Zaret. I don't know what.
Mr. Zaret, if you wish to participate in the discussion of this case, which is 2450 Eli Avenue, please raise your hand and you'll be permitted. If not, then if you have any comments about any other case that you might have missed, please make a submission to submit@bsa.nyc.gov.
And if you are here for case number 1679 63rd Street, Brooklyn, that was adjourned, so we did not discuss it. If you have any comments regarding that, you can submit it in writing. Thank you. Okay, how much time will you need?
And is there anything in the middle to late July that, so we can redo the maneuverability? And have a call scheduled with Tracy to figure that out, our next steps?
Okay, I think latter part of July would be good because by that time we can get some feedback from other. Okay.
And
Thank-
Tracy and Jella and your team, or Jeline, I mean, can get back to us with, we can rediscuss the date as necessary after this.
Okay,
Okay, great. No other comments?
no
Okay.
comments?
This concludes the public hearing for June 10th, 2025.
Thank you
one and
all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.